and welcome to episode 23, Her Finance Talk. My name is Sue Diamond and I'm your host, and our goal is to help women create a better relationship with their money so you can live your best life. So thank you for joining us today and investing in your financial well-being. Her Finance Talk is brought to you by the Her Finance Club, and our mission is to socialize the idea that it's okay for women to talk about money, because knowledge is power, and when that knowledge helps you become more independent, it translates to empowerment. Women empowering women is a mantra we love to live by, and one that has helped to inspire women for decades. Where would we be without each other? So today, we're talking about coping strategies to help you prioritize your mental and financial health. Why? Because it's Mental Health Month, as you already heard from me earlier this month. Now, the sad truth is, mental health has a significant influence on every aspect of our existence, and that includes our finances and career. And women experience financial strain and money anxiety at greater rates than men do. Financial problems and the stress they cause are detrimental to both our mental and emotional well-being. And this cause and effect often goes unrecognized, leaving the body and mind struggling to cope with consequences such as anxiety and depression. Financial instability leads to the onset of health instability, and vice versa. So taking charge of one can be a key factor in improving the other. So that's why it's important for us to talk about mental health. So let me welcome today's guest, Marie Sennett. Hi, Marie.
Hi, Sue. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. So Marie is a certified yoga teacher, and she trained at the Himalayan Institute under a long line of authentic yoga masters. She's trained in trauma-sensitive yoga to address the needs of many. She's also certified as a transformation life coach. And of course, her other hat or her day job, she's been a civil rights attorney for 30 years. So Marie creates personalized yoga and meditation programs that are tailored to the needs and goals of her students. She's helped her students sleep better, feel more relaxed, find focus, become stronger and more flexible, and find time for themselves. And she also holds a yoga and meditation class twice monthly in our private Facebook group. So we'll let her talk more about that later. But I want to open up the conversation. Obviously, that's a quick introduction to you, Marie. And maybe if you can share with our listeners and expand on your story and, how you came from the legal world into yoga and meditation.
Absolutely. Well, it's a fun story, actually. I was a civil rights attorney and working with prisoners who were incarcerated, and just totally stressed out. And my neighbor, when I was living in Buffalo, said, "Hey, do you want to go try this yoga class?" I was like, yes. I'd always heard yoga was great for anxiety and stress. And I was like, let's go do it. And I had that first yoga class. We did the meditation at the end, and my brain actually shut off. It just listened to what Tony was saying. And I was like, oh my God, I found what I need. But because I was a busy civil rights attorney and a public defender for a while too, I did not make the time that I needed to care for myself. So while that one introduction to yoga and meditation was close to nirvana for me, I wasn't taking care of me. I didn't do what I needed to do to continue to feel that good that all the time. And at one point, my husband said to me, we want to have this retirement where we're running around and we're traveling and we're doing things. And the way you're going, we're not going to be able to do that. And you're not going to have the retirement you want. He wasn't focusing on him. He was focusing on me. And he said, you got time to change that now. And he was so right. And I was like ecstatic because I love this man so much. And I just want to have fun with him in retirement. And I didn't want our dates to become, instead of date night, doctor's appointments. So I pulled out my mat and I started with just 15 minutes of yoga and 5 minutes of meditation in the morning. I had to clear things out of my schedule. I had to start saying no, which was really hard. And I found that I was sleeping, I was worrying less, I was more focused. And I was so intrigued by this that I decided, I really wanted to bring this level of healing to others. So I went and became a yoga teacher.
Wow. So I know, as you've mentioned, when you're physically healthy, you have more energy and stamina, and you can think more clearly, and you're just better able to cope with stress in general, right? So when you're mentally healthy, you're able to manage those thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in positive ways. Now, you just mentioned, what was helpful for you. Can you, share some strategies for our listeners when it comes to that you'd recommend for coping?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things let's start with meditation. Meditation is really a wonderful gift that we've been given. Mm-hmm. People think that you have to hear nothing and just focus on whatever's in front of you. And if your thoughts come in, that you're failing meditation. And I have to admit, there's a number of yogis that make you feel like you're failing if you have your thoughts come in. They don't mean to, but it just kind of happens that way. And I when I was first doing meditation, I thought, oh my God, I am failing. I am thinking about what's going on. And I realized that no, my mind is busy and it's always going to be busy. And I needed to find a way to do meditation so that I could allow the busyness. So I just played around and I found that if I did a guided meditation, or if I did a mantra meditation, it doesn't have to be a crazy mantra. You could just, as you inhale, you could think so, and as you exhale, you can think hum. You don't even have to say them, but it's just something to give your mind something to focus on, because our minds are so busy. And then if something comes in, rather than being like, oh my God, I'm failing at meditation, which was what I did initially, just let the thought come and know it's going to come. And if you try to get rid of it, it's going to stay there. And then once it leaves, go back to your mantra or whatever the guided meditation is. So having that gift combined, like meditation in and of itself, in a way of being able to do it without feeling like I was failing at it, and other people were failing at it, it's just a super bonus. And you don't have to meditate for an hour or half an hour. You can do just 5 minutes, and you will see a difference. You'll see that you're calmer, you're more focused. One of the things I love best about meditation is it gives you that pause that's so important, so that we're not reacting all the time. It gives you the ability to be like, well, how do I want to react to this, rather than just going right into it. It increases our relationships because it increases our empathy. It gives us an opportunity to worry less. And it also is wonderful in terms of focusing in and creativity. A lot of our famous, artists meditate on a regular basis. So that's one thing to do. And you don't have to go out and buy 400 million cushions, and you don't have, you can sit in a chair or on your couch or on your bed. And if you can get your knees lower than your hips, that's going to be better to have you sit up so that you're breathing in a healthy way. But if you can't do that, that's okay too. And you can just meditate right there. So that would be the first strategy.
Yeah, I mean, myself, I probably got into this maybe 3 years ago. So I'd like to do a guided meditation every day with a breathing exercise, because I know by focusing on my breath, then that helps me kind of release tension from my body, and it does clear your mind of negative thoughts. I know sometimes it's hard, you have the busy all the time, but it's certainly, the more you do it, the better you get at it. But I also find, so meditation for me, it'll do two things. It'll help me relax and feel more peaceful, but it can also set me up for a really good day. So I like I go on YouTube and look for a 5-minute guided meditation, and that's all for me what I need just to get me started. So to get my day started, to clear my mindset, and it doesn't half make a difference as well, just for my whole day in terms of being positive and focused. And so yes. But one of the other things that I wanted to bring up, because we both have groups on Facebook, and the idea is to create communities to support other individuals. Mine's predominantly women. I think you work with both men and women.
Right.
But one of the things that it's really important, I think, to share as a health action step is talking about our feelings and connecting with friends, because the thing is, if simply by talking to a close friend or a loved one, if you're struggling a little bit, whether it be financially and or mentally and emotionally, statistics have shown that this helps. So the person doesn't need to be able to fix your problem or solve your financial issues. It's just opening up to a trusted person can kind of also help release pressure and talk through your feelings and anxieties rather than bottling them up, and that in turn is going to escalate kind of your stress and anxiety. So what's another strategy that our listeners could use to help them cope?
You were talking about breathing, and there's some breathing techniques that are absolutely wonderful and very easy for anxiety. One of them is literally just getting your parasympathetic nervous system to calm down. So what you'll do is you will, on a count of 4, breathe in, and then hold the breath for a count of 2, and then exhale for a count of 6. And that just keeping those numbers straight is going to keep your mind from going too far. But that is really good, because by having the longer breath at the end, it helps relax your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the one that is the fight or flight nervous system. So that's a good breathing technique. And there's also alternate nostril breathing, which you probably want to watch a video on so you know how to do it. But it's basically you inhale through one nostril and then exhale through the other and switch on the way through. It's called Nadi Shodham in the Himalayan tradition. So that's something else you could do. And yoga, of course. Yoga is one of my favorite ways of taking care of myself, because not only are you building strength and flexibility and focusing on balance, but it's also another way of calming yourself down and being in tune with your body. I find that when I'm doing my yoga and doing my best at my yoga, meaning I get to do it every day or close to every day, I find that I'm more in tune to what I'm feeling, including I'm more in tune to when my body is full. And so I'm not going to overeat because I'm anxious, because I'm more in tune to what my body needs and what it wants. So it's got more than just the flexibility benefits. It's kind of an all around benefit.
Yeah, I think when you talk about, kind of your body and recognizing certain things, one of the things that I hear sometimes from clients, and this is why I think it's really important to tune into the emotional side, is, when I look at my bank statement, it makes me feel sick, or I get a stomach ache, or I get a headache, or, I don't want to look at my checkbook. And I think it's really these are keys, actually. I think it's good because it cues us into heightening our awareness to this. And I think that goes back to kind of the breathing side, right? And we talk about fight, flight, reactions to situations that we're fearful of. So I think when I hear, somebody expressing some of the physical things that they feel in regards to the financial situation, then it's like, well, just hone in to where that is in your body and think about where it is, and then breathe into it. Right, because then the thing is you're then looking at it, or kind of coming from a proactive as opposed to a reactive because you start to think about it, and then you can kind of problem solve from the perspective that you can say to yourself, well, you know what, this isn't real, this is just me thinking about this. So and once you tune into that, then you can think about, you know, how you can change that. So
yeah, and often in yoga we'll say, like, if you're having trouble with a muscle, bring your breath to that muscle. Well, you know, one of your biggest muscles is your heart. So if your heart is pounding, then you just want to think about bringing your breath to your heart. And I will admit, Sue, that I have in the past, knowing that I've got a credit card bill that I'm not going to be happy with, I will do the breathing exercise beforehand so I can deal with it better.
yes, that's a good idea. Yeah, because I must admit, I think about it from the perspective, okay, you know, if this is how you react, then this is what you can do. But actually, you know, that's definitely being proactive, preparing yourself for it as well. I know what, just to talk on the side. So, you know, often, you know, people say, well, well, what's this got to do with, you know, my finances, when you're talking about, you know, emotional and mental health month? Well, one of the reasons that it's important for us to talk about this is that I believe, well, the APA, the American Psychological Association, indicate the number one source of stress for women is finances. So, you know, it's really key that, you know, we're kind of cued into that, number one. And so the link between mental and financial health, it's not just anecdotal, it's well established in academic literature, from the point of view, in terms of mental health disorders. One of the most replicated observations is that very high association between, you know, financial security and mental health. So our financial problems and the stress that they cause, you know, can have a huge impact on us. And of course, we know emotional and mental health issues then, you know, can impact the body as well, if the mind is struggling to cope with some consequences like anxiety or depression. So this is why we are talking about this, because it's key for you to take care of yourself emotionally and financially, you know, and recognizing the direct correlation, I think, is important between health and wealth and shouldn't be overlooked. I mean, not just from the perspective when we talk about emotions and mental health, but, you know, from a physical standpoint, you know, if we're being impacted, then as we get older, we could end up spending more money. So as I always like to say, health is wealth, in terms of dealing with that. So talking, you know, this is really key stuff, ladies, because again, you know, we have a tendency to take care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves. And there really has to be some me time, some self-care time, whether it's yoga, meditation. One of the other things that I don't know if you do this, Marie, but I find that journaling is also something that I do every day. And I think that's also a key factor when it comes to kind of, you know, your mindset. And if you're, you know, not feeling so great, kind of writing down. I mean, this is something that you can control, right? There are lots of things that we can't control, but I find journaling also helps me. I don't know if you do that.
Yeah, I think journaling. Well, my students have talked about journaling. I admit I'm hard at doing journaling because when I was writing all my intimate things in my diary as a teenager, my sister stole it and passed it around, and I've just had this aversion to journaling. But what I do is at the end of the day, I will write down 5 things I'm grateful for, because I think we lose sight we get ourselves into a cycle, and we just lose sight that every day things are happening that we can just feel gratitude for. And when you feel that gratitude, you know, then it helps lighten you, it helps lift the load. So if you can't journal, then just those 5 things is another option.
Right, right. And I think that that's also key, as you say, it's the gratitude side that's really important, isn't it? Because that also ties into, when you're grateful, or you're taking time each day to be grateful. That's also found to improve our emotional health, because it's how we feel, it's our overall happiness, it's our mood, and it sets us up for our outlook for the day, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it
Yeah, I
also,
did.
I think it ties into, Sue, a feeling of abundance, because when you start feeling the gratitude, then you can see all that you have and all that's around you that's available to you. And it starts feeling a little more like, it feels a lot less like you don't have things or you're struggling. It's just that abundance.
Right, right. So just in terms of, um we've talked a little bit about coping strategies that people can do on their own. So what are some of the things that you do with clients that will help them?
Well, one of the things I have is an 8-week program to help folks go from where I was, basically, where you're not taking care of yourself and you need to, and that now's the time. So it's an 8-week program to focus on what it is you want, your goals are for retirement. Give yourself that full-fledged goal so that you can be able to enjoy it, and looking at where you are, what you want to be, what you want to do, and then working out a plan to set up yoga and meditation on a daily basis, and look at other things like time management, also breath, breathing exercises, nutrition, some financial. I've got a financial planner who just has a couple of tips to get people's appetite whet so they can come find you, Sue. There's a piece about nutrition, but the thing that I like best about the 8-week program is that I get to work with people one-on-one. And it's a definite once a week coaching. I answer emails. I mean, as you're going through this, you start discovering things. We look at how to sleep better. We look at digestion, because digestion and sleep are tied together, as well as stress. And I have a wonderful nutritionist who's working with me, and offers coaching as well, and an essential oil specialist, because essential oils have become such a wonderful way of just letting go and relaxing. Even when I'm doing my lawyering thing and I'm working hard on something, I've got my diffuser going so that I can just kind of have a bit of a chill. So at the end of the 8-week program, you've got a routine that you can do for the rest of your life, and you feel good about that routine, and you feel good about taking care of you. So that's one thing. And then I have my Facebook group where I offer different yoga classes, a 15-minute yoga class that people can pick up anytime, and meditations, and self-care tips so that people can spoil themselves once a week. So we have self-care Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, that's so important. And I think I can't remember if I mentioned this to you, but I was doing a presentation a couple of weeks ago, Mother's Day weekend, and one lady in the audience said, we were sharing what we were doing for self-care, and she said, I have 2 hours identified every Sunday that is just for me, whether it's reading or exercise, going for a walk or relax. She said, it's just my time. She said, because I recognized I needed me time. And it's fun when you talk about the essential oils. I mean, I think like the aromatherapy is so key, isn't it? Just helping you relax. I mean, I also like it. I mean, my mother introduced me to that eons ago, but we have tea tree oil, and so every time I'd be taking a flight, she'd give me, have you got your tea tree oil? Put it on your stove, because I believe, because everybody's sitting next to each other. This is way before COVID, and you're in close proximity. And more often than not, people would get off the plane and then they'd have a head cold or something,
Right,
So
right,
I swear it stinks, but I always have the tea tree oil with me.
Yeah.
So I did want to kind of, as you mentioned, in terms of, retirement and, people wanting to be in a good place. And I think, looking from the perspective of wealth action steps, I think, the key thing here, if you get overwhelmed by your money, is to learn to identify and conquer some of those financial roadblocks that, are keeping you from gaining your financial confidence, clarity, and power. And, you can do this by, starting with getting a thorough understanding of your finances will ultimately relieve, the anxiety of not knowing, because this is part of the key in terms of, when you don't know, you don't take any steps toward, being able to manage your money. And, if the key is, if you have an understanding of it, this will allow you to take actionable steps that will allow you to start tackling those financial stresses, right? Because this is what we want to reduce. And I always like to share, numbers are a great way to redirect thoughts. And by taking control of, your spending and saving, that's one way to make things more manageable. So just a few quick key things, and then I'll let you share a few quick key things, Marie. Track your current behavior. I mean, being aware of your current behavior, both in your finances and your health, brings accountability to the successes and the shortfalls, and this is where change begins, right? So I always encourage people to write down all your debts, your balances, interest rates, and your minimum payments. And it sounds like a very intimidating task, but really, once it's completed, you're gonna feel really liberated, and you only have to do it once. So the key is, focusing on what you can control, right? Because we know we don't have power over the virus or the economy, but you can work to manage your reaction to it. And you can do that by understanding your financial goals and your risk tolerance. So I'm just looking at the time, Marie. So do you have any last minute tidbits to share?
Well, I have one thing that I came across and I tested it out, and it's just one other thing to calm you down when you're feeling completely stressed out. Go on the internet and find just a bunch of pictures of puppies. They are just so cute and so cuddly, and you can't not go, ooh, 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 when you're looking at them. And it sounds silly, but it's really true. Just go look at some puppies. It'll calm you down.
Okay, good. And I always like to tie it, for me, it's just in terms of people being proactive and thinking about how they can move forward, put it to your mind, that visualization of what you want to achieve, because, as you're thinking about setting goals, if it's a little stressful for you, but, the best motivation is, what's important to you, right? And what you're working towards. And it's also a distraction from the stress in the current situation by showing you a light at the end of the tunnel, which, is not the train, right?
Right. And it's the same thing with taking care of your health. You set the goals and you figure out what you can do and work toward doing.
Right.
Yeah, very much the same.
So think health and wealth mindset, see problems as opportunities, which requires us to be able to think around the current disruption. So mindfulness, I think is really key, right?
Yeah.
So where can people find you, Marie?
So you can find me on Facebook, and my personal page is Marie Sennett Yoga. And if you want to join the Nourish Yourself group, it's Nourish Yourself. Well, it's a long title. It's Nourish Yourself Now and Plan for that Dream Retirement. So you can find that there. But if you just put Marie Sennett into Facebook, Marie Sennett Yoga, you'll find me. And I'm also at mariesennettyoga.com, and Sennett is Sennett rather than the more interesting way, like the government spelling.
And we'll make sure that that's in the show notes, so the listeners can access that, so they don't have to worry. Well, unless they're listening, or I should say viewing the video, it'll also be in there, so you don't have to worry about scribbling it down. So thank you, Marie, for sharing your story and your expertise and some strategies to help our listeners cope when they're dealing with stress. It's been a pleasure. And again, Marie also is in the Her Finance Club Facebook group twice a month with a yoga and meditation session. So I encourage you to seek her out. Okay. So in terms of, or for our listeners, it's never too late to start, right? And believe it or not, the benefits of financial self-care as well as proper self-care can positively impact many aspects of your, well, all aspects of your life, right? So it's really key for you to be cued into that. So, and above all, seek professional help if you need it. There's no shame in seeking help from a therapist or a counselor if you're struggling with your mental health. Okay, so that's first and foremost. We're both here to work with you, but if you're really struggling, then you need to seek a therapist or counselor first and foremost to help you get over that. And again, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm sharing a financial self-care guide on how financial self-care habits can keep you feeling positive and encouraged. So that'll be in the show notes, and you can download that there and discover the connection between self-care and financial well-being. I also want to encourage you to grab the Money Belief Formula if you're interested, because that encourages outlets for all of your emotions, regrets, and worries, and you can seek to understand how you feel instead of trying to push those emotions away, and harness them and use them to move forward. So there's tips for journaling, daily gratitude, affirmations. So that'll be in the show notes as well. So again, let me take the time to remind everyone, Her Finance Talk is brought to you by the Her Finance Club, and our goal is to inspire 1 million women to start the money conversation with spouse, friends, or colleagues, because knowledge is power, and when that knowledge helps you become more independent, it translates to empowerment. So thank you again, listeners, for taking the time to be with us today, and here's to your financial well-being. Until the next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Sue, for letting me come and visit with you today.
Oh, my pleasure. Likewise. Thank you, Marie.